Hello and welcome to the series Are You Pregnant with Purpose? And today we're talking about calling it quits on bad habits. Before you have a baby, you need to start to call it quits on bad habits. Why do I need to call it quits on bad habits? Have you ever known a person that has had a series of bad habits and then they decide that they want to have a child? If you have a child, are your bad habits going to affect that child? Maybe you drink. Maybe you smoke. Maybe you don't put the right things in your body. If you're not putting the right things in your body, you're not going to do what's right for the health of that baby as it is being created within your body. I've heard many a story of a woman that were drinking. They may have found out that they were pregnant later on because their bodies did not show off the pregnancy, or they had a lot of weight on them, or they had other previous issues that didn't preclude to the fact that they were pregnant, and they were like, if I had known that, I would have changed certain things before I got pregnant. What is it that you need to change before you have your business baby? What mindsets, what limiting beliefs, what beliefs that were instilled from your childhood do you need to shift mindsets of before you have a business baby? Got a nice little list here that we can go through. What books are you reading? What movies are you watching? What music are you listening to? What types of television shows are you listening to? What conversations are you participating in? What are you feeding and looking at on your social media? Because you need to know these things in order to become and know how to become the boss that you want to be. So if you're looking to become a boss, what would a boss do in order to build a business? Let's think about this. What are you reading? I'm going to give you a list of some of the books that I read. Seeing as I'm not even partially, I'm completely Christian. Some people are partially Christian. That's not me. But because I'm partial to the fact that I understand not everybody's Christian like me, but I do have business books. I just downloaded on Audible, Make God Your CEO. As well as I looked at the summary for The Slight Edge. I also have books on, I have a lot of biblical books, but if I was going to suggest some business books, one of the ones that I used to do was Fire Starter Sessions. That's a good one. I have Dean Grazio's, I think it's called Millionaire Habits, in a physical book. As women, I listened to Audible version of Michelle Obama's Becoming, and I had a physical copy of that book. I don't know if I still have it. I'd have to check my property. But what are you feeding your spirit? What kind of, if you've never made a business, there was a book I had, 16 Steps to Building a Business, I think it was called. You can Google it, it'll come up. It talked about the steps that it takes to build a business and how to plan out your business in 16 steps. What other books have I read? I'm always looking into something or listening to something. I listen to a lot of ministerial books. mostly for the internal mindset thing, because you have to shift your mindset in order to be able to walk into the things that you are preparing yourself to walk into. So what are you putting into your body? If you're not reading books or listening to audiobooks, what are you listening to on YouTube? I used to listen to some of my audiobooks on YouTube. What's the other one? Like, I think it's one that's in particular that I had listened to, but it's escaping me. On the ones that I used to listen to, but I listened to a lot of ministries. I listened to business stuff. I follow like Tiffany Montgomery on her channel. I have a coach. I listen to her. I listen to a lot of things business wise. I listened to a podcast or conversation the other day where they were interviewing a real estate agent. But what are you putting into your body? Next, what movies are you watching? What movies are you watching? If you are a business owner, let me tell you something. A lot of us sit up here and think that because we watching horror movies, y'all know. Y'all like them jump scares, and when you ain't working, you think that it's fun, that it eases your tension and all of that. No, it's not. It's putting anxiety in your body, and then you're wondering later on, why do I feel so anxious? I'm trying to wind down at night. I feel anxious. I'm working on my business. I feel anxious. Why? Because you sat in a room watching a movie full of jump scares, full of murder, full of this, that, and the other, and then you went to bed on it, and then that was in your brain. I used to have a friend, she would not go to sleep. So true. If you see this, hi. I'm not talking about you, but I am. She would go to sleep, but she said that she would not watch anything scary or made her uncomfortable before she went to sleep. Real talk. Because of the fact that she knew that when she went to sleep, it would be in her dreams. How many times have you walked through a day of work and you watched a music video, or you watched this, or you listen to this, or you were doing something on the computer, and the next thing you know, you had a dream that night, and 6 of the things that you went through in that day were in your dream? I remember one time I listened to a Janet Jackson song, and that night she was in my dream. I'm like, wait, where did Janet come from? How she get in my dream? And I thought about it the next day. Oh, she was that thing I was looking at on that page underneath that article, and I clicked on it, and then I watched the video. That's why she was wearing them same clothes in the dream. Think about it. Think about it. What are you putting into you? And how is that affecting you? I lie to you not. I used to go through certain anxieties, and I used to wonder, why am I suffering with this anxiety? And I was cool about 2-3 days ago. And then I had to think about it, and I was like, oh, 2 days ago, I watched this. And I didn't realize that subconsciously my spirit held on to that. And 2 days later, I'm in high-end anxiety, and I'm like, where did this come from? Because I was watching that jump scare movie, that thriller, that all of that. And you realize that the music that they have in those movies is created in order to make you feel anxiety and suspense in those moments during the chase scenes, in those moments during the anxiety scenes, in those moments. One of my coaches, she said this the other day when she was watching a movie, and she actually had to stop the movie because it was actually supposed to be a children's movie, and it had something in it that had such an anxiety-driven music, beat, scene so much she had to stop watching it because it was so much anxiety that was being perpetuated on the screen. She couldn't have that in her. Because we don't realize the things that we are ingesting in our movie, our TV, and all of this, it's coming into us and affecting the way that we are producing the things outward within us. Which brings me to my next point. What are you listening to? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Let's get back to the television and music. I remember one of my favorite shows years ago when it first came on was Star. Yes, I got caught up. Didn't you hear me? I said I like music. I got caught up in it. Got caught up in Star. I used to watch Empire. Why? Because I used to watch the music. It's not that I love the lyrics and all of that. I liked watching the processes. Leave me alone. Don't judge me. Yes, I'm Christian. Don't you judge me. I see you judging me. Leave me alone. But that music was ratchet. You know how ratchet that music was? And I'll admit, I'm sorry, I do still have the soundtracks on my phone and my computer. But the melody. Some of those songs I don't even listen to no more. I should be deleting them. I'm still trying to convict myself. But those songs will get into you. Have you ever noticed 95% of the music that you listen to that's secular is talking about sex? They shouldn't even call it secular. They should just call it sexular because it's all sex. Maybe that's why they call it secular. It's a way of not saying sex. All of it. Think real hard, even on the nice little songs. Them songs that be like, oh, the reason why I am so sad was because that guy did this to me. I literally was listening to a Tamia song and she said that I remember the way you used to. And I was like, wait, even that? Wait a minute. That's perpetuating sexual what have you. No. What are you listening to? Same goes for what are you putting in your ears? What motivational speakers are you listening to? What are their beliefs? What are their edicts and what are their belief systems that you are listening to as they are perpetuating and putting their thought processes in your brain? What are you listening to? Are you listening to something that's good for your spirit, good for your mind, good for your body, and good for your business? Years ago, I had this business advisor. And the person was somebody that I liked at the time. And I started listening to what they were saying. But at one particular point, this particular person went from talking about one thing to talking about something else. It still sounded like business, but the way that they were talking about it completely created a uncomfortable ease in my spirit that I did not like. It was almost like they injected poison into what it was they were saying, and I literally felt it every time they started talking about this one particular thing. And I'm like, wait, what is this? Where did that happen? Why is this happening? And I had to literally get off of it, and I'm like, should I still be listening to this person? I had to pray about that. I literally had to pray about that. I'm not kidding. What are we putting in our body? Television. What are we watching on television? Going back to the television thing. As of recently, is a new TV show that I started watching. It has music in it. And when I watch it, I get inspired. I do. I be writing music like left, right, and sideways when I start watching that show. And I had to literally pray about it because I was like, should I be looking at this? Is this good for my spiritual health? Because of the fact that some of that music is ratchet. Just like the other TV shows' music was ratchet. But some of that, they're lyrically, the way that they create the cadences for their songs, I get inspired in 1 minute and I'll be like, oh, I like that cadence. And I'll be like, oh, let me go sit down and start writing something. I wrote a whole song one night because I was in a mood. And I went back and I listened to the cadence on one song. Wrote the whole song in a half an hour. Because I was lit by the beat on that song. But was that a good song to be listening to? Was that a good song to be listening to? I don't know if that was the case. Because you got to be careful about what it is that you are putting in your body, even as you're listening to things. Because what we are listening to affects the way that we process things. Amen. What conversations are you participating in? Me, I'm going to tell you right now. I have a coach, and every time she comes on live, I try to always go and listen to what she has to say. Why? One, it's a group of people in that room. And we all have conversations in the chat together. Community building. And when we are in the midst of our conversations, we learn, we glean, we get ideas from one another. She might say something and it will inspire and spark an idea, and I'll go run with it. I remember a few days ago, she was just talking in the midst of a broadcast that I happened to miss, and she said something in a 5-minute time period that inspired me to create 3 websites over a 5-hour period just from her talking from 5 minutes. Who are you listening to? What conversations are you participating in? Are you going and involving yourself in group meetings? Are you going into challenges? How are you doing so? What is that doing for your experience? So, with that, what is the effect? How are you participating in conversations? Are you participating in conversations? There's a new app that's out right now called Clubhouse, and a lot of people have joined that app because of the fact that you can go in there and you now have access to people on different levels, different playing fields, different financial spaces and places. There are people in there having conversations that are in $10 million tax brackets. They're accountants. They're music industry people. They're production industry people. They're film people. They're this person. They're business people. You walk into the right Clubhouse room, you get on that mic and start talking, because beautifully, a lot of these rooms, they don't hold you off from being able to talk to everybody on the platform. Some of them will allow you to talk to those people, and they be dropping good nuggets. So if you don't have Clubhouse, I don't know what you're waiting on, because you can participate in some conversations and be talking to a multimillionaire about your thing. You can be little old you and find out. I bet you found out. Start going to these business rooms. Start mingling with these people. Why? I remember years ago, there used to be some business events I used to go to locally in my hometown. And when I would go to those business events, I would mix and mingle, and I would come in there dressed pretty good and pretty decently. And I would be able to rub shoulders with the people in the business event. The men, the women that were in those events, and we would talk and we would just enjoy ourselves having conversations about business. I would network with everybody. I remember I invited one of my college classmates to a fashion event because she had just had her 2 kids, and she had a small one and she had a toddler. She was like, sure, I haven't been out in a long time. She came and she enjoyed herself. I still got those pictures somewhere on my Facebook of us hanging out at that business event, and she was loving it because she got to be able to be around fashion people. She got to network. We got to talk to people. She got conversations and all of that, and it was a good experience. I even ran into one of my other college classmates who happened to be at the same event, and we was chilling. All 3 of us was sitting up there chilling together, talking about fashion. It was in our mood, and they were actually looking at me like, you don't ever stop, because I walked away from them like 40 times because I was like, I'm gonna go talk to that person, I'm gonna go talk to that person, I'm gonna go network with that person, I'm gonna go talk to that person, because I got to be networking. I can't be sitting up here coming to an event and not use the opportunity. I got 40 numbers that night. You think I came out for no reason? Honey child, police. I went there to get some contacts, honey, because I was going to make me some networking contacts. Who is in your network? Who are you talking to? Who are you participating in conversations with? Now, aren't as many or not as many people going to networking events as they once did, but they're still out there. People are still going out and they are still conversating with people. You just got to know where to go. A lot of people are doing Zooms because they can access more people in meetup Zoom meetings than they can in having an outdoor event, because with all of the bureaucracy, we ain't going to go there, but you know, with stuff going on. No comment. People ain't going out like they used to be because they don't know where they can go. Shall I or shall I not? Do I have to do this? Do I have to not? Okay. So I might stay in and just do my Zoom meetings. But what conversations are you participating in? And for me, it's like, how can I transfer my ability where I would go and charismatically walk up to a person, have conversation, and transfer that to sitting face to my own face on a screen on this phone and networking? Because I'm not seeing you like I would see you if I was standing in an event. I remember about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to go to a business event. It's about 2, maybe 3 years ago. It was a money event. When I walked into that event, I still got the grouping of the people that are in that group that we all met at that business event. And I was networking with everybody. It was about 15 people. They would come back to me and be like, hey, how you doing? I was like, hey, did you meet? They would tell me what they were interested in. I was like, did you meet her? Because she looked like she would work with you. I met a model. I met all these types of people. They're still in my back office and back channel. I still message them every once in a while. Who you communicating with? Who you having conversation with? Because it's your conversation and your contacts that you make in this season that are going to make the difference. I started doing challenges because right now, challenge spaces, when you go into challenge spaces, you meet people. I'm blessed to be able that when I was more open and intimate in that challenge space about some things that I was dealing with, people started coming in droves to that post and they started having conversations with me. I got about 15 friends off of that one post because I was open about some of the things that I've been going through. What conversations are you having? Because sometimes they can open up to opportunities. What conversations? How are you opening up and telling your testimony? Think about it. So, I'm not going to sit here and belabor this point because I think that we're just about done. This wasn't a long passage that I wanted to go into, but I did want to record a little something talking about how you're feeding yourself. Because if you were preparing to do healthy habits for your own baby, this is what you would need to be preparing your body for, so that you could prepare your body to gestate that child at the fullness of what it was supposed to be done. So, think closely on that. Until next time, this is Taj McCarran for Steam to Live the Dream. Are you pregnant with purpose? Much love, faith, peace, and blessings to you. Till next time. Bye-bye.